character and what they've gone through to create that character. So, who has a question for one of our actors or our actors? Yes, sir.
Well, great work, everybody. But it's just the thought of doing that is very intimidating. Were you basically acting also as a script supervisor? So somebody needed a prompt or a line that you were ready to decide which?
Not really. I have the script here,
Okay.
but they are flying solo.
So the question is, like, if somebody does flub or forget a line, do you kind of prompt each other? Do you keep going? Like, what's the procedure? You just kind of take it as it comes?
Great question.
You know, I would like to answer that because that's a really interesting question. And I think everyone will tell you that every scene, there's always something that goes wrong.
Yeah.
And what Carrie always says, is stage record.
Okay.
And nobody will know because nobody else has the script, right?
Right.
So if you say, oh, I messed my line up, then you'll know.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
There's always something and you just pick it up.
Right. And we work a lot on each actor trusting their scene partner. Your scene partner is not going to let you down. You're not going to let your scene partner down. So I drill a lot about nobody's going to be embarrassed, right?
Sure.
And there were modifications, right? Even in my scene that I did, because I had to step in at the last minute, there were modifications from what was written on a piece of paper.
Sure.
But I don't think you were aware of
No,
that,
not at all.
because everybody did stay in character. Right, but that is an excellent question. What else? Good, good. Helen, you can't possibly go without asking a question. Now, I know you
I
have
was trying
questions.
to be polite.
Oh, you're trying to be
Okay.
polite. Oh, you were reserving. Oh, she's got a list. All right.
Yes. Well, first of all, Carrie, how old do you think we are? 1947 is when that movie was published.
Right, but you watch old movies on TV.
But not that old. Anyway, speaking of, okay.
Thank you, I am vindicated.
So Cinderfella.
Yes.
I have a question for you about that.
Yes, Danny Kaye did that.
I did find Cinderfella quite aggressive. And
That
I
was
was,
my characterization.
yeah, was that because the Cinderella, the female version, is much more subservient? And I was wondering, did you do that on purpose? Or you did?
I did. That was
Yeah.
my characterization. That was
Yeah.
my choice.
And
Right.
why did you choose that? is
More
my-
angry because I'm angry. And as a person, I have a lot of anger. Don't you remember? I would yell at you in class.
I'm not.
Helen, do it again. Helen, do it again. That's not good enough.
It's actually not
It was just a choice.
I'm not coming back now, but okay.
Right, right. It was just a choice that I made.
Right.
Yes. And Cinderfella was one of the iterations of that tale, and it was done by Danny Kaye, if you know who he was.
Oh yeah, I do. Even though he was a bit old.
Oh,
That's
sure
okay.
they are.
I also have a question for Sudhir.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting, lively English aristocrat. I think maybe the liveliest I've ever seen. So I was just wondering, because obviously English people are quite stiff upper lip. Your thought process, because I thought it was very entertaining, but he was quite lively. Did you do that on purpose?
I didn't get you.
Did you move around?
Yeah. Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah, I think maybe more aristocracy should be said then, because that was very, very entertaining. And then, Marianne, I loved your body language, but I was wondering, you and Summer, do you coordinate your outfits and your body language, or do you do your own kind of interpretation? Because you did the same.
That's a
part.
good question.
I think we did our own interpretation within the scene that we had. So
All right, yeah.
that
I've
when,
noticed that.
when she popped out in sequence, I had to add a rhinestone.
So I'm glad you said something like that, because that's exactly one of the reasons I like to have examples of different actors presenting the same character, even if it's in different moments of the play, because every actor or actress, whichever way you want to look at it, does bring their own individuality to the role, including, and we talked quite a bit this session about physicality. You remember I talked about physicality a lot, what the character is doing, and that includes costuming. And so it was amazing to me at the end when we got to dress. Really, there was even more of an improvement, more of a characterization with these two costumes that they had. So it really heightened their choices. Yeah. Yes, you had a question. I'll be right with you.
Yeah, how do you determine how to play your character? What's the process for getting inside the character and knowing what voice to use, what mannerisms to use? What's the process?
Good one. What's the process? Sunita, you played the same character twice, different times. What process do you use? Did you use to create Lucy?
Well, I tried different versions actually. First, I was more dramatic during our classes, and then by the final, I was like, no, I don't want to be so dramatic. We just try it out. I mean, at least for me, I try it out. I see how I feel. And I did the mistake of watching the movie this time, and it didn't help me. So I went when I saw the movie, I was like more dramatic, and then I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do that. So I took it down a notch.
Jenny, how about you? You talk about your character development.
Yeah, I think maybe key off some real life experiences of irritation maybe at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just kind of putting myself in that kind of situation of a husband that's not listening to you and how that might rile you up, especially when another woman is involved.
And bring that to the
Yeah.
character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Karen, you're new to our group, but you had two characters to develop. Maybe talk about what you went through because of being new to the group. What did you go through in terms of choosing and creating your character?
Well, I would say it was actually very interesting having another person. I've never done it before where another person plays the same character but different parts of the play. And to me, that was really rich and interesting, kind of seeing the different choices and different parts of the play. And so I feel like that helped. I also try to think a lot about what my character wanted. And that's what I tried to play throughout. And it was fun getting to do the stepsister. That
Yes, the stepsister. And I have to tell you, that was the last minute change also. Karen stepped up at the last minute and said, okay, we had someone who had to travel in an emergency. She said, I'll give it a shot. Sure, I'll try it. So it's always good. That's the value of an ensemble, is that we work together and people step up to help each other, right? Which is great. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so my question was about, or for all the actors who played ghosts, how did you decide how to play a ghost compared to a human?
Yes, ghosts. Because we had ghosts on stage and we had ghosts off stage. Okay, so ghosts, talk it up. Let's hear what you're saying. Rick? Bob?
So, to spoil it again, I also watched the movie, and on top of that, there was apparently a sitcom in the '60s.
Yes, there was.
So I had double trouble because it's like, what, do you want to be serious or do you want to be a goofball? And so I kind of tried to blend the two together and work within their rule sets, like how they did it in those programs.
Okay, Bob, how about you?
Well, as you know, from one week to the next, I tried to speak my normal voice, and then I was trying to tap into my inner Higgins from Magnum PI and do a kind of British thing. And right up until tonight, I wasn't sure, but so I fooled around with that. And for me, this was my second class, so I was just happy to be able to try to get into character instead of like last time, all I was doing is saying my lines, but I was trying to be like, think like maybe he was thinking, like the last line, like she died when I was at sea, trying to put some feeling in it. So there was a lot of subtleties I was trying to convey for the first time.
Shruti, how about you and Jenny with your ghost?
I'm
gonna get you with the last thing I do.
I was actually a ghost on stage, but I was a very overwhelmed ghost. So with all the other parts of my life happening at the same time. So I just decided to go off stage based on a recommendation. And Jenny happily agreed to be off stage.
Yeah.
So it worked out in my opinion, but originally I was, oh, what should I wear? How do I look like a ghost was a big concern. I was a very bored ghost because I don't have I don't have many lines. So what do I keep doing when all of them are talking? Was something I was trying to fill in and look for or do something on stage. It was interesting. Maybe 2 weeks before is when we decided we just don't want to be on stage because I was stressed out. But thankfully, Jenny agreed to be off stage.
Well, and I think we all agreed that it worked better for the ghost to be unseen and off stage because when we were rehearsing with the ghosts on stage, it was kind of, they're just, especially in the last scene, there were just too many people on stage. It was a little distracting. So it ended up working out really well. And then, yeah. So.
Which in workshop, which we are allowed to do a lot of things. We can try stuff. So while it might not be a director's choice to have ghosts speaking from off stage, we had to deal with our reality. And this was our reality. And if Shruti was so overwhelmed that she couldn't participate, then that meant we would have lost 3 scenes, right? Or 2 scenes anyway. So we modified. And I agree with Jenny, when we did it, and it was only a couple of weeks ago that we started, I was kind of like, wow, this works much better than I thought it would, you know. Sometimes you find that it's an amazing kind of issue that you learn. What else? Anything else? Jessica?
I have a follow-up question for Shruti.
Yes.
So Shruti, I've seen you in other plays where you're the onstage character. And so in the future, do you prefer off stage versus on stage? Or like what variations did you have to do or what changes did you have to make in the way you typically present in one of these plays?
Yeah, I was off stage, but I know Jenny knows I was shaking my legs and hands and fully in character even off stage.
Good.
So I don't know if she had space there to snuggle back with me while I was moving my hands and feeling the entire play as I was doing. So I think this worked out in that it was pretty chaotic and we were bored ghosts the entire time. The second script, so it worked out. But I would love to be on stage too.
It was really a convenience for the situation that we modified it. We wouldn't have modified it had it not been a requirement.
So I just find it really interesting that you were still in character, even during the parts where we couldn't see you.
Yeah.
You're still being the ghost.
You can hear it. You could hear the character, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when Jeff had problems with the wife, we both were very angry inside. I couldn't
That's
hear
right. They all love throwing stuff at Jeff. Let me get this young lady in the back. Yes, dear. What
Why do you keep switching characters in between the scenes?
Why do we switch characters between scenes?
Sorry, not characters, I meant actors.
So that all the actors get to perform. That is one of my basic rules as an acting teacher. Everybody performs every class. Because I have been in workshops where I paid a lot of money and I wasn't performing and I wasn't happy. And so that's one of the reasons that I make sure everybody performs every week, even if they don't want to. Right? Bob.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Just as I said,
Not
just
true.
throwing it out to everybody and including and especially the new people. What through this process, what is a kind of an unexpected learning or insight that you've gone through this process?
Same character. I mean, stay in character.
Running
So,
character.
So don't think about anything. Just stay in character.
Yeah. Good. That's a good answer. Who else? Come on. Something, anybody learn anything new or about
I
themselves?
personally learned that why we need 10 weeks. I was traveling in between and I missed 3 weeks. So even till the show date, I was still having more ideas. I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have missed the 3 classes before. So now I totally understand why we need like 10 weeks.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome.
I have something.
Huh?
I
Yeah.
have something. So I've never, they were easy on me tonight. I've never had to do a monologue with people throwing stuff at me. The first like 3 times I couldn't do it. I just had stopping and getting out.
Laughing.
Yeah, because well, they were easy, but at first they were on stage, they were hitting me with it. So that was something I've learned. Now I can.
Now you can just
being-
do it.
yeah.
You know,
It's
so-
it's a bad enough distraction just when like the camera beeps or somebody's phone goes off. That's bad enough. But to have objects being hurled at you
And the lights too.
by people that can't see you, so they're just throwing objects randomly.
So the lights are very bright, as some of you know that have been in Rome before. And that for a young or a new actor can be very distracting. But you have to deal with lights on stage, in stage work, and even in film work. You have to deal with lights in your face, you know. Summer, how about you? Summer's one of our most experienced actors, along with Jeff. She's been with me she and Jeff have been with me the whole time, all 8
Since
going
we were
on 9
children.
years.
Yeah.
Would you like to share any of your insight as a veteran?
It was real. I was really excited to see Marianne play the Madame Accardi, and then it sort of kicked me into gear to kind of develop a Madame Accardi. But it was fun to watch her take on the role, and especially working with Karen. That was really a delight. I think insight is just like trust the process. There's definitely stages that happen. So the first night, everybody comes in, they're freaking out because they don't know what they're going to do. Then they get the scripts, and then they start freaking out more because they realize that now you're going to have to learn these lines and develop these characters. And we go through rehearsals, and it settles down for a little bit. And then 3 weeks before performance, there's this like rush of like, we're not bloody ready.
What do you mean, no script?
But the experience knows that like it will pass. And so I was able to like with new people going, oh, this is a very normal feeling. We're going to feel completely unhinged. We're gonna blow it, but then it will all come together in the end. And so yeah, it did.
And that is the value of having experienced actors with new actors. Because the experienced actors can allay fears, give suggestions, say what they've been through, what they've done, you know, all those kind of things. So that's why I exist, and I feel like we've done a good job. This is an unusual workshop experience. And I will share with you that if you were paying for this in the private sector, I'm looking at Marcia and Cheryl because they know, you would be paying thousands of dollars to get this experience and this much individual attention. And if that's what you want to do at that studio, that's great. Actors make choices. They have to because they're putting
Studio
it in.
Box will not be there.
We're all here.
We're all, well, some of us are here now, right? All right, well, I want to thank all of you for coming out. The actors appreciate it. I certainly appreciate it. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the evening. And we hope to see you again next time in the fall. Thank you very much.